That I'm right there. Said you should know that I'm right there. Oh, I will be right by your shoulder, babe. And when the weather gets colder, know that I'm right there. Oh, so you should know that I'm right there. Wherever the sun don't shine on the side, you know I'm sitting with you.
When the sun goes down, neighbor says the smell's too loud. Riding in my old school thing, shotgun with my old school babe. So wake me when the sun goes down. Tonight's my last night in town. I pledge to a flag so brave. No matter where time, the skies are gray. Ooh. Around this time, won't stop in a Ramadan, yeah. Might have robbed you blind, you, your dad and moms, yeah. Keep that in mind, fit two things being broken down, yeah. Jump your ass inside, LSD, come take this ride. No ACID, how you get your ass inside, yeah. Take one peek in me, you might get lost in my mind, yeah. Fuck that college shit, that scholarship, let's hypnotize. Yeah, ooh.
This is just absolute musical butter right here.
You make me better, and I know this don't make sense, but you make me better.
That we but that down.
Alone, alone,
It's Tyler, the Creator, Austin Feinstein, and Kaliukis with the wonderful... Actually, Tyler didn't even say anything on this one, but it's a little piece from Perfect off of Cherry Bomb there. All right. Do want to turn to this very, very interesting concept here put forth by Zachary Schwartz. Yeah. And it's a very, very interesting thing. It's talking about rappers as countries. And I'm going to give my take on this. I'm going to read what he has to say then to you and then give my take on it. He says, Russia is like Drake. Unlike America, which is shielded by two vast oceans, Russia has no natural borders protecting its vital cities. It has paid dearly for this. The Mongols, Swedes, and French and Nazi armies have all trampled Russian land, marching towards Moscow. After its time of troubles in the early 1600s, in which a third of the Russian population died, Russia concluded that its failure to dominate its surroundings had led to its suffering. Thus, Russia's primary geostrategy was to expand the state in every direction. From the years 1552 to 1917, Russia gained on average 10,000 square kilometers every year, reaching the shores of Alaska, Hawaii, and even California. Drake, for all his stature today, remains at his core an intensely vulnerable artist. It's a really good point. He's still Wheelchair Jimmy and the mixed-race Canadian former child actor. At least in the beginning, no national borders, no street credibility, no storied Canadian lineage. The only way Drake could protect himself in hip-hop would be to grow as big as possible, making the gulf between him and other rappers so vast that their attacks could barely reach him, which is ultimately why he responded to the story of Adidon with global #1 hit, In My Feelings. This is a guy who is just so big, so powerful, and really, I think Drake is probably more of a dominant force in hip-hop than Russia is in geopolitics, but I do like some of the stuff that he's saying here. Drake's whole career has been omnivorous, aggressive expansion, incorporating the shield of Jay Prince, the popularity of Lil Wayne, and the flavors of Houston, Atlanta, Vegas, the patois of Jamaica, and most recently, the virality of TikTok. Today, both Russia and Drake are the biggest of their kind in the world. Russia is nearly twice the size of any other country. Drake, who occupies more Billboard real estate than any artist ever. Both are superpowers who are, in the end, always find the way to win. I mean, I really think that's probably one of the biggest... I think really one of the biggest differences is that Russia, while they've been doing all right, while you can say all that you want about Putin, but, from what we know, massive amounts of Russians aren't starving, although that's not a very good barrier for a quality leader, but, most Russians are, not clamoring to get him out. But the fact is Russia is nowhere near as dominant on the geopolitical scene as Drake is in hip-hop. He's everywhere. Russia's just big, but it doesn't pack the punch of its bigness, I guess it's kind of what I'm saying. Interesting take here. Lil Wayne is England. At his peak, Great Britain was the biggest empire in history. Its colonies included Australia, New Zealand, India, South Africa, Egypt, and Canada. Lil Wayne, for those of us old enough to remember, had a similar period of undisputed dominance from 2007 to 2010. Weezy's reign was mostly free of the beef that plagued rap's other hegemons, from Drizzy to 50 Cent, and they both came out on top of that. That really vicious Pusha T diss track would have killed any rapper, but it just bounced right off of Drake. But in its time, Great Britain receded from the international arena, content to chart its destiny within its borders. It also left behind a massive influence. 20% of the world now speaks English, and still more follow English, known as a common law. Are known as common law. Common law, English law, kind of the same thing there. Similarly, while Wayne became a recluse, he even did a Brexit from Cash Money. Nearly every rapper today speaks his language. So it's a great point. These are pretty good. Here's another interesting one. The Taliban, Pusha T. Pusha T is the Taliban. Non-state groups can still exert tremendous influence in the world. Look at Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, which pulled the United States into a Middle Eastern war that cost us trillions and international credibility we may never recover. Pusha T and his beef with Drake demonstrated a principle of modern warfare, that a determined guerrilla group can defeat a superpower. During the Cold War, superpowers oriented their militaries around nuclear weapons, which might have deterred World War, but ironically put them at a disadvantage against smaller enemies. This analog is heavyweight boxer Deontay Wilder losing his devastating right hand. He would fight awkwardly, nervously, vulnerable to a small, more nimbler foe. The guerrilla's passion and their ideological purity is also engulfed in the more prominent, more insecure power. One should only go to war when the benefits outweigh the cost. Therefore, the sole aim of the insurgent should be attrition, bleeding the superpower until it can no longer justify its war. The Viet Cong, the Taliban, and Al-Qaeda all survived this way. Shockingly, the only former war the U.S. has won since World War II is the Gulf War. Pusha T used this tactic brilliantly. After luring Drake into a conflict, he then fought a dirty war in a way that Drake couldn't as a superpower. Drake only going nuclear would only destroy his international legitimacy. So Russia once did in Afghanistan, Drake widely pulled out. So very interesting. And I think you kind of put Drake as the United States of America, but I do like the idea of Jay-Z. Like Jay-Z as a relentless corporatist and really probably one of the most blatantly money-hungry people in American public life. Actually, that's really tough, actually. I'd say in hip-hop culture, definitely. And I think Jay-Z really does kind of fit the bill. In many ways, Jay-Z is hip-hop. His remarkable life paralleled then shaped the development of the genre. After witnessing hip-hop's New York formation in the 80s, he adopted the rapidy rap flow, the 5% stylings of the early 90s, and then turned the culture toward a more gaudy gangster and pop image. Gaudy is a great way of putting it. Like, pretty much what he is kind of he started off as an interpolation of kind of he kind of influenced people, and that he was influenced by people, kind of passed off their work as his own, and kind of screwed over a lot of the people that actually helped him get into the game. And now he has kind of influenced a whole generation of other people to come behind him. He mentored the producer who turned it into high art. Then became a billionaire, and most recently blueprinted dad rap through the classic 2017 album 444. Jay-Z, by all measure, is hip-hop's predominant superpower. He's both loved and feared like the United States. He often intervenes in the affairs of others, rescuing artists like Lil Wayne, Lil Uzi, Megan Thee Stallion, and 21 Savage. Jay-Z and America both remade the world in their image. The hip-hop world and their actual world in their image. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. There will never be another global power quite like them. It's great. I think that's very, very true. We'll do one more, and that's this is good. This is good. China's very name attests to its self-importance, and this guy Zachary Taylor, I believe his name is, who wrote this piece for DJ Boothnet, Zachary Schwartz, I apologize, puts China here, I think rather brilliantly, as Kanye West. So China as the Middle Kingdom sees itself as the center of the world. Unlike the United States, which has mixed hard and soft power, or Russia, who has expanded relentlessly, China historically dominated using its dazzling wealth, which produced magnificent goods that all of its peers coveted. It preferred voluntary submission to its superior culture instead of war. Kanye West became a superpower in hip-hop by producing magnificent beats that all his peers coveted, and then classic albums that made the world kneel. He did not dominate through force, but his superior culture. That is true. That is really good. Kanye shares China's self-importance, and his career mirrors China's rapid industrialization. Mao Zedong said once that a cycle of China's development evolves from disequilibrium to equilibrium, and then to disequilibrium again, brings us to a higher level of development. Kanye's albums follow the same pattern, exploding and imploding from the minimal 808s and heartbreak to the sprawling My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, back to the Talk Yeezus of 2013. Kanye's position as China naturally puts him at odds with Drake. His encroachment on Kanye's territory. Russia's name in Mandarin is the Hungry Land. China and United States were once natural allies like Jay and Kanye, but China's rising superpower status has put them at odds. I mean, that's not entirely how I read the situation, but just like China, this century will likely be called the Chinese century. So that's 5 rappers as countries. They had another one, which was Saudi Arabia's J Electronica, which with the kind of a radical Islam connection to Louis Farrakhan and all that stuff. I think that kind of fits, but we didn't really delve too much into that, I know. That is all the time we have for today. My song, this is pretty much the song that I think is going to be on repeat for me for the next few days. It is a song from Mrs. Stallion. The song that we played at the beginning of the show. That is right. It is featuring Kalani, Hit My Phone. We'll see you Friday. It's Uncultured. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Peace.
Posted, toasted, hanging at the back, made money all year, make a toast with a yak, window to the wall, throw it back, and if I leave with him, he gon' eat it for a fact. I seen a lot of fuck shit, but I'ma let it slide. I got it in my system, now I'm really tryna ride. I don't know if it's us Aquarius that just like to have fun and ain't scared to fuck.
I get nasty.